The year, about 500 BC. The location, ancient Greece. Hey Sun Space Sun, I'm Daisy Victoria. Most of us may know ancient Greece through myth and legend. Today we're going to look at the real-life clothing, or at least specifically one interpretation of an outfit. Now it's really funny, I realized I didn't have a full-length video about ancient Greek clothing on my channel, and it's funny because I love ancient Greek clothing. I actually have a whole video about Roman clothing, and that's like something that's a little bit foreign to me. I really just did a couple of outfits. It's really ancient Greece that I'm into. We do technically have like Greek on here because we have Minoan / Kefteu, but we're going to go a little bit later and do ancient Greece. So when we talk about ancient Greece, what is the time period? It is roughly 200 years, from 510 to 323 BC. This is bridging the Archaic and the Hellenistic periods, both of which are also super fun because ancient Greece has really cool history. Some of the famous events from that time period, ancient Greece, include the Golden Age in Athens, the Peloponnesian War, and the conquest of Alexander the Great. So I'll run you through a really super quick timeline, and then we'll go ahead and get to the outfits. So the 5th century BC, which is the 400s, that was really the Golden Age, so-called, of Greece. So this is when Greece was victorious over the Persian Empire. And this is what you might remember from history class as the Athens versus Sparta time frame. In this time, we saw the Persian Wars, we saw Athenian democracy, and we saw the Peloponnesian War, which was, of course, the famous war between Athens and Sparta. In the 4th century BC, this is the 300s, alliances shifted, and eventually we saw the rise of Macedonia. Sparta was not dominant for long. Thebes defeated them and introduced their period of supremacy in Greece. In the south, King Philip II of Macedon united those city-states under the League of Corinth. Philip's son might be someone you've heard of before, Alexander the Great. He took control of Greek forces and conquered the Persian Empire and went on to have quite a campaign. In fact, it is the death of Alexander the Great that heralds the incoming Hellenistic period. So what's interesting about this ancient period in between Archaic and Hellenistic is that it's really a time of warfare. But despite all the war that's going on, you also see a rise in philosophy. So you have famous figures like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. You have theater and literature. A lot of our famous plays come from this era. And there is so much art. Sculpture was thriving. There was a lot of pottery. And that is going to lead us right into the clothing. Because there was so much art, including so much pottery with painted scenes, we have quite a good look at ancient Greek clothing. And I am happy to report to anyone who wants to make ancient Greek clothing that it's very simple. It is basically fancy rectangles. Some of my favorite images that I'm recreating with this style include a basic layer, which is known as the chiton. The chiton is just a big rectangle that is wrapped around you and secured at the shoulders and belted. Chitons could be different lengths. We are going with a full length one today that I will belt at the waist, and it'll have a little bit of overlap there where it's belted. You can have different styles of chitons. You can have chitons that have like what we call a peplos that hangs over. You can have different styles of attachments, different lengths of sleeves, we'll say, size of the rectangle. We're going to go with a pretty basic one today. This is one that you see all over the place in ancient Greek art, and it's one that I find very versatile for events. So it's one that's easy to wear, and because of the fabric I chose, it looks really beautiful with relatively little effort. So I always like that too. I'm also going to show you an optional layer today, which is the Himation. And that is a cloak that's worn over the chiton. So this is like a daily wear cloak, and it could be worn by both men and women. All of my clothes that I'm showing you today are repurposed sarees. So that's kind of a trick to get some nice prints that can look pretty Greek if you know what you're looking for. So I'm going to start out with the jewelry that I'm wearing. So I have a necklace and earrings, and these are based on very sort of ubiquitous ancient Greek styles. So there's not like one specific piece of jewelry they're based on because they're kind of the norm for the period. I have rings and bracelets, also kind of the norm for the period. And my jewelry is set with red stones, so I kind of went for anything red and pink, and you'll see why, because it matches my chiton. My chiton is my favorite color, which happens to be fuchsia. Really the hot pink version of fuchsia. So I'm going to show you what the chiton looks like. We're going to pan the other way with the camera so you can get a really good look. First, I'm going to go ahead and show you how it's secured at the top. So this is one big tube. So it's a rectangle which I sewed on the side, so I made it into a tube. Now, chitons do not need to be sewn on the sides at all, or they could be sewn on one side, or they could be sewn partway down with a slit for walking. This particular one is sewn all the way down on both sides. So when I pin it together, I pin it so that I have a little bit of extra in the front, and that is going to allow it to drape really nicely on the bodice. So it's going to be like closer to my neck in the back and then drapier in the front. And then the arms are going to come through these other openings. I will go ahead and show you the Himation. It's another rectangle. So I have this other piece of fabric, which is also from a rescued sari. And sorry, not sorry, but it's perfect. So basically I'm just going to wrap this around and pin it like a cloak on top of the chiton. And what we're going to go ahead and do while I'm here is my hair. So I've done a bun, just kind of a regular hair bun. And I'm going to use this strip of fabric to hold it in place. Now, this strip of fabric is more of the trim from the sari, just so that it matches my outfit. So I'm going to find the center, go like this, and then tie it in front. And then I've got these big pieces. I just tuck these inside. I think I tied it a little tight. So you can tell in the back if it's not going over your bun, it might be a little tight. So let's just fix that. The idea of this is to kind of contain the bun and hold everything in place. Okay, I think I got that pretty good. I'm going to add this diadem. Just right there. Oh, and the other thing that I didn't mention is this fabric is really slippery. It's because I'm fancy and I just like those slippery fabrics. So what you can do if you're like me and you just want to be extra is you can take some pins and just, bobby pins and pin it to your hair. Let me do that. Okay, perfect. And if you're wondering, yes, of course, bobby pins are more modern. There were other hair pins available in the time. I just happened to have bobby pins on hand, so they'll do. Now let's add the diadem, and that just sits right on there. And we're ready to put on the chiton. Now, just a slight note, there is more than one way to wear the Himation. I like this one this way because it's a very slippery fabric. Now, not all Himations have a brooch. Some are simply just draped over the shoulder. Some do have a brooch. Some you might brooch just one part to your shoulder and let the other part drape. So just keep in mind that there are a lot of ways to wear a Himation. I am choosing this way because it just happens to work with the fabric I do have. I will be wearing a Himation a different way when I show you a different outfit later. Just this way works for this one because it's really slippery, and if I don't pin it, it's gonna go away. Okay, let's go take some pictures and some more aesthetic video shots. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed this odyssey into ancient Greece. It may have been a little bit shorter journey than an odyssey. I personally love ancient Greece. I'm really a fan of the ancient world, and I'm so happy that I have places where I can dress up and enjoy some of the clothing that I so admire. If you yourself take some inspiration from this video, please be sure to tag me. I'm Daisy Viktoria everywhere. You can find my website at daisyviktoria.com, where I also have patterns and tutorials and other resources. And you can also join my Patreon, where we do monthly live streams. And thank you so much to my patrons who help to continue creating all this joyous content. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.